So we are covering like right now the latest version is 12.1 on LTM series, but
12.1. Okay.
yeah, but on because we have only virtual edition with the trial version on LTM, that is on 11.3. So theoretically we are covering 11.3. Okay. So
Okay.
only advanced few features, that is new feature, but basic is the same. Any advanced feature that is coming in 11.3 to 12.1, it is like an hot fix or new features introduced in this one. So we are just covering 11.3 based on this because we can do the practicals also. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you say F5, F5 is the company name, right?
Yes.
And they have different you can say that different type of say hardware or the physical or you can say virtual editions. When you like this one, right? When you say F5, what is it providing? It is providing security. When you say F5, F5 is a company name, right? And it is having the different products. Products means all the products are related with big IP or the Viprion models. Okay, Viprion is like chassis based model for F5 big IP product line. Big IP is appliance mode and the virtual edition mode. So when you say F5, F5 is not providing only LTM services. It is like GTM, high application level security, SSL, VPN stuff. So multiple you can say that the multiple features or multiple products has been implemented by F5 for their different modules, and they are providing different services like security, identity awareness, availability, mobility, performance, and all stuff. All these are like software modules, and they need an like appliances, or you can say that if there is multiple like service provider of environment, they use like Viprion model, or you can say the chassis model, where each blade is equal to one appliances. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and the virtual edition is like when we are implementing this on any hypervisor. It could be VMware hypervisor. It could be Gen hypervisor. It could be like Hyper-V hypervisor. Okay, so we are like when we are doing our lab, we are using the virtual edition part. Okay, we do not use the appliances, but when you say all the concept is related to the software configuration, it is all the same. Okay, so whether you are using appliance, whether you are chassis, or whether you are using virtual edition, because the all these particular hardware or the virtual edition, they need one module that is called LTM, or you can say the GTM, or the different modules like APM, ASM. Okay, the different module have their different type of features or the services F5 is providing on this one. So you say is like okay, now goes to, let's say, when you say this, there are different type of models modules within an F5 appliances. When you say F5 appliance, it is a hardware device. Like when we're talking about the checkpoint, it could be when you say in checkpoint, there is a like checkpoint appliances. Same way we can say that there's F5 is also provided its own appliances. It could be chassis, it could be virtual edition. When you say virtual edition, it is like on hypervisor. F5 have their own operating system, that is like TMOS operating system. That is the main operating system that provide all the load balancing all the algorithm, and all the decision that you are seeing on F5 is related to TMOS. Linux also using Linux. You can say that the base is the Linux. Within the Linux there is a TMOS. Okay, and the Linux is only for the management task, like to access the management interface of F5. And within the F5, when you are creating any virtual server pool member, it means you are creating on the TMOS. Okay, it is not on the Linux. Okay, so Linux integrated, TMOS is integrated within the Linux. Linux is provide like you can say that it is based on the Linux kernel, but Linux is only used for providing the first live to provide any management access to the F5 console, things like this. So TMOS is a proprietary where all the functionality of LTM or GTM or AM. When you say TMOS, within the TMOS there are different modules. Okay, So if you are providing a load balancing within the site, then you are using LTM load balancing on geographical locations, site availability on with respect to the geographical locations. We use GTM. They say like AAM, AFM, APM. It is like layer 4 to layer 7. It is also layer 4 to layer 7, but its functionality is mainly purpose is providing a load balancing. Here it's check like antivirus, malware functioning, SSL, VPN type of functionality. F5 provide these type of functionality also. So these are the different modules, and each module is having their own features. So we are just covering in this lab is for in this class is for the LTM part, right? When you say within the modules, when any traffic coming to these modules, you can influence that traffic behavior using different type of, you can say, the language, scripting language, or any application management. These are the like iRule is used like to make is like a scripting language, so that it can check the or you can influence the behavior based on your requirement. You can make your own script and then apply to the LTM objects, so that you can say that if I say by default algorithm is on LTM is like any client coming to the LTM, it redistributed the traffic to this one, right? If you are using round robin algorithm. But if we want that, we are using the round robin algorithm, but we want that every client coming from this always goes to this one. So this type of traffic influence, regardless of what is your load balancing algorithm, we can influence that type of traffic using iRules. iRules is, and these are like some of the iApp is like providing the one way of configuring all your stuffs. Like it is a step-by-step to define virtual server pool members and any profile you want to access. I will cover it later on, but it is like within that TMOS, you have the LTM module and the other scripting language that you can control and influence the traffic behavior. Okay.
Okay.
So when you say when you talk about the availability, the different type of modules, they have like, when you're talking about the global and load balancing, then you need an LTM and GTM, right? For carrier grade net, you need this module, and these are the steps like when you are talking about these things, we need at least these 4 product of F5. This is like how availability provide. If you need an identity access or performance, then you need this type of these modules, right? If you need an identity access, then you need an application policy manager, where it is security web, it function as a security web gear, antivirus, and protection, SSL, VPN, single sign-on, stuff like this one. Okay, so different modules having different their features to provide the different type of application based on the you can say that the customer requirement. So our main focus is on LTM. Okay. When you talk about F5 is F5 or any like Cisco CSS, Radware, these all, when you're talking about the load balancing device, all are called application delivery controllers, right? When you say application delivery controller, it means it majorly work on the layer 4 to layer 7, right? It provides the functionality of routing, but major functionality is on the layer 4 to layer 7, right? So when you say in case of the F5, they have the different models. When you say that this is like appliance model, depend on the throughputs, they have the different sizes like 2000 series, 4000 series, 506. So these are when you say F5 is the company, these are the products. Product name is Big IP. For the appliances, when you're talking about the chassis type of model, these are called the Viprions. Okay, when you call the Viprions, each blade is act as a single LTM or a GTM device. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
So the highest, so if you can go back the slide, the highest model is like 11,000?
Yes, 11,000 series, and in chassis it is 4800.
Oh, okay.
Okay. When we say this is like hardware, okay. Within the hardware, we need by default it is come with their operating system installed. When you purchase then you do not need to install any OS like Checkpoint, right? They have a Gaia OS. They installed with the, but we need to only provision which module we have to use. Like we have purchased the appliance, we just need to need which module we need to provision, either LTM or both GTM or this, right? These are the things you can provision. But in virtual editions also, we do not need any special hardware that can be run on any hypervisor, whether it could be VMware or Zen virtual machines. Okay, and these are like when you say the when you are having like cloud platform management from F5 like this, then there are the three different device or the software for providing the centralized management of multiple customers. Okay, when you talk about like in Checkpoint, you know about the provider one or smart domain manager. It is like if you have like say 100 customer, and each 100 customer you want to manage from the central location, these are the software that we need to access or manage multiple customers F5, right? Because like if we are using single appliance, to managing that we need like HTTPS and then browse it. We then configure the single F5. But if we want to manage 100,000 type of device, then we need a centralized management software. These are these different based on the cloud. If you are using security products of F5, then you use this by default for LTM, and this use this one. Just give me a minute. Okay, so these are like software products or hardware products within the F5 and the management modules. Okay, these are the different type of certification within the F5. Like for each module, there is a different certification. So we are covering only this part, LTM, configuring LTM. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, like this is like different type of levels, like FF administrator we need to use this. If you're using LTM specialist, these are the certifications for different levels: security expert, cloud expert, delivery, and all stuff. Okay, now if he says, okay, before going to this, have you known about how proxy works, right?
Yeah.
So when you say in proxy, by default proxies, we can say that the proxy is the two types. One is forward proxy, one is reverse proxy. Got it?
Yeah.
When it says forward proxy, it means any client request going to the internet is through proxy. Okay? When client is using internet using proxy is mainly called forward proxy. When it says reverse proxy, it means client is on internet, okay, and they want to access our servers, right?
Yeah.
This terminology is called reverse proxy. So when it says reverse proxy, it means by default, like proxy, forward proxy is like example, if you say like Blue Coat, okay, or any like WebSense, okay, they works as like the proxy for forward proxy. But when you say the reverse proxy, it means any client that is coming on our internal web server that first terminated on this particular proxy. It could be proxy, I mean any load balancing device, and then make a load balancing decision and then send it to the servers. Okay, server 1, 2, 3. When this type of traffic is comes and hit that particular device, then this device is you can say that working as a reverse proxy. So in this example, you can say that F5, or you can say that CSS, okay, and Radware. These products act as a reverse proxy, right? Got my point?
Yes.
So when you say about like any load balancing device that works on the L4 to L7, they should maintain the full proxy architecture. What do you mean by the full proxy architecture? This is not like it is like because when you are maintaining the proxy, it means there are two type of connection: one from the client to the proxy, and then proxy to the server. It's here also. It is like from client to the F5 one connection, and from the server, sorry, from the F5 to server one more connection. So you can say that from the client perspective, this F5 is the server. From the server perspective, F5 is our client. Okay. So when you say proxy, it means it makes two connections. From the, if you see from the TCP behavior, it makes two connections. One is on the client end and one is on the server end. Why it is necessary to making two connection is because if the connection is not terminating on these device, they cannot influence the traffic behavior. They cannot make a decision on the traffic, right? If they are not terminating a connection on there itself, then how it can modify any content, block any content, or make any load balancing decision, right? It is not possible. If I say if client and server directly make any communication, okay, then what is the use of using F5? Because the connection is not terminating on F5, right? So if F5 is not terminating any connection, then how it can influence or modify that traffic behavior? So in this case, the concept is like we need to terminate the connection on F5 so that it can make a decision, and then based on the decision, it can send the traffic to the actual server and then send the response back to the client. Got it? This is called full proxy architecture. When you say full proxy architecture, it means it is maintaining two connections. One is here, one is here. Okay. Right. When you say F5, well, F5 is like a firewall. When you place an F5 between the client and server, and you are not making any virtual server. So when you say virtual server, you understand the term virtual server, right?
Yeah.
Virtual server is like virtual IP defining on any load balancing device, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm placing F5 within our client and server without defining a virtual server, it means this particular IP is not listening on any IP, not listening on any port, so it is all by default denied device. So it's just simply placing an F5 without defining any VS or NAT, any kind of listeners. It means F5 will just act as a default denied device. Okay. So it will not pass any traffic until unless we do not define any listeners. I will tell you what are the different type of listeners in F5. It is like same in CSS also. Okay. So without defining listeners, it acts like a firewall. So you can say that like a firewall, it is like a default denied device. Okay. So it is like showing how it is making a connection. So one side connection is this client side. From the client's perspective, F5 is our server. From the server perspective, F5 is our client. So any traffic that is coming from the client, it F5 intercept the traffic, listen for this, and any connection that is needed, and then send it to the server. Or you can say that here in this particular time period, it's check for the load balancing decision and then send it to the servers. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when you are using, it is the same like viewing and modifying the. It is like when if you are using any load balancing device with the full proxy architecture, it means it is having the ability to view and modify the traffic behavior based on the whatever the rules you have defined within the F5. So it has a visibility of the traffic. So suppose like if you are using, suppose like we are implementing an HTTP servers here, right, in this particular location, and client is directly making an HTTPS connection to the server. Suppose if it is making a direct connection to this one, so it is making a first SSL VPN SSL tunnel, right? Within that SSL tunnel, they send the HTTP traffic. So if they are directly making any connection, and F5 will not see any visibility on the traffic, then how it can be modified. So that's why we need like SSL offloading type of stuff, so that VPN will only terminates here. When it make a connection to this one, it can be sent either clear text, so that load balancing decision or any type of traffic behavior that you want to modify, that can be applied. Okay.
Right.
So suppose like this is a scenario where when we are using F5, suppose our server does not support IPv6, but client is accessing our website on IPv6, right? So one of the side can be IPv6 and another side can be IPv4. That is also possible within F5 or any load balancing device. So totally we are covering here only for the F5. So load balancing, all the load balancing devices is providing the same type of contents or specific services. Okay. So it says like another scenario that it can be possible is like one client to F5, the connection is compressed, but from the F5 to server it could be uncompressed, right? Same way, this is like example of SSL offloading. Okay, the client to the F5 is encrypted, from the F5 to server it is unencrypted. Okay. If you are sending any application data, before sending it to the server, you can modify the application data based on like if the F5 has a visibility on that particular data. Okay.